This is a bit yellow, I think. No, I think it's fine. Might be my phone. How are you, everyone? Welcome to Simulation Talk 194. I feel like on my phone it's a little orangey, but you guys can tell me. On TikTok, I mean. How are you, everyone? Sofa King, Jessica, Maria, Chris. How are you, man? Ebony the OG. How you doing, girl? So good to see you guys. Let's see who shows up on TikTok. Mitch. The Pierre LeBlanc. What's up, KLGD? Up. How are everyone feeling tonight? Devin, how are you, brother? How are you feeling, by the way? I know you were pretty sick, you said. Move everything back. So we have more room here. So many different things. Welcome, everyone, to Simulation Talk 194. The channel that revolves around the simulation hypothesis. Welcome to all the newcomers and to all the rest of the family. What did you see, Cook? What's there? Oh, he's seen a cat. That's really funny. He's such a dog. It's really funny. What's up, William? Elvis Senka. Sonar Bat. Thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate you. Wow. He goes crazy. What's up, Burn a lot? Burn a lot. Burn and loot. Burn and loot. Why do that, man? Why do that? Looked up what's in the Mushi chocolates, and it's a bunch of DMT. Oh, wait, the molecule, the spirit molecule? Why would they put the spirit molecule in there? You can't really ingest it. Like, nothing happens. Yo, the business is in the house. DJ, how you doing, brother? So good to see you here, man. Haven't seen you on the chat in so long. Dustin had wonderful dinner with the business. Tom, how you doing, brother? We have Tom Matt in the house, everybody. The famous Tom Matt with Upsite. How you doing, man? So good to have you on the chat, joining us from X. Devin is saying doing better. Haven't had to take any medicine today. That's a plus, but the energy level is still running a low for sure. Yeah, that would happen. What do you think about filming mine through Neuralink doing experiment? I think it's a great idea. I think that's exactly the direction that we want to be aiming for. And again, I want to acknowledge that Tom Matt is in the house. Tom is famous for coming up with upsite or experiencing upsite and then coining it as upsite. Me and you guys should check out our conversation. I think it's still the last conversation I have here on YouTube with Tom Matt. Really good talk. Excited for collaboration and things to do. Moved where? Oh, perfect. Oh, I thought you mean like physically. Now I see that you're on YouTube. Perfect. The weather is beautiful here too in Nashville. It's pretty amazing. Daniel, how are you, brother? How's everything with you, Tom? I know that last time we were texting. You said that the test results from ions might be back pretty soon. Are they back? Do you have any exciting news on your end? because I know that you were testing some stuff with ions, which is amazing. You guys should, by the way, you guys should go and follow Tom's channel, Upside Vision, what you see on the screen right now. Tom has an incredible story of a very tumultuous decade, followed by an ability that he acquired from interacting with these substances for a long time. And he can basically conjure content, what he calls upside, basically, I guess, from the ether, you can say. I mean, obviously not the actual ether, but something is happening there, which a lot of people thought that maybe it's kind of equivalent to my console. After me and Tom talking, we realized there are some similarities, but also it's not quite the same. But all of these phenomena are important to investigate and to understand what they are. And Tom, I would say, is one of the more interesting people to experiment with and investigate, because he can do it on the fly. I can't do any of this stuff without the molecule, but Tom can just conjure it, or bring it about, so to speak. So I think it's very interesting and very important. I don't. I know Mo is the guy that told me about you originally. One of my viewers on TikTok, Tom, but I don't know what his handle was. I forget what it was. I gotta look it up. Should probably text him and say thank you for introducing you. Chris, thank you so much for gifting memberships to people. Deeply appreciated. If you guys are not on YouTube, you should go and check out the YouTube channel Dango Thoughts, Dango Thoughts, because once in a while and recently, very often, some of the other listeners are gifting people memberships, and well, usually the people that are also contributing their time. They're the moderators on our Discord channel, which you guys should absolutely join as well. You can find it on my YouTube channel, Dango Thoughts, Dango Thoughts, and I think it's the third link in the social media links in my main channel. Or theory is the future. Oh, you mean OR? Um, Can you expand on that, Tom? What do you mean by OR? It can stand for a lot of things, and probably it's right on the surface and obvious to everyone but me. But if you can enlighten me what OR means. Oh, got it. So microtubules. Uh, there's huge potential there, and I understand the hype. But I have to say, because I read the paper in full, I don't know if they are outlining something coherent. I'll be honest. They, so to be fair, so basically Hamarov and Penrose, what they're suggesting is that the structures called microtubules in the brain are responsible for, lack of a better term to use heuristics, transform quantum moments to conscious moments as they happen in microtubules. Microtubules induce these states that basically collapse the wave functions into moments of experience. The reason, and it maybe when I say not outlining something coherent, I maybe jump the gun, but they're definitely doing what I call the jump. So if you read any paper or book or anything on these subjects, what you will discover is that reliably, every single time, no exceptions, and obviously there will be no exceptions until there's some kind of a major breakthrough, really not just in our world but in reality itself, I would say. But the author or authors always do what I call the jump, and I have a little flag, metaphorical flag, that I'm always holding that says the jump on it, and I'm just waiting in the book or the paper or whatever it is, and reliably, whenever it is, but it always happens, here's the jump, and I go, what? There's the jump right there. In other words, there's always a moment when they say, well, this is where the magic happens. And what's interesting is that it's never acknowledged. So people, I don't think it's, people are trying to hide the fact that they don't know. They just think it's justified to just move on. But I think that's incorrect to do. I think we should, if we are truly trying to think about these things deeply, we need to be honest about what we're making the jump. In other words, we have to acknowledge it, like, well, this part is the part where we really don't know how that happens. which is really the question from the beginning, because even though they do outline some of the potential mechanisms by which they think that this happens, they never actually explain or even begin to explain as to how it would come about. And of course, they can't. That is the hard problem of consciousness. All you can do is you can describe, you can create a descriptive model of these ideas, but the explanatory model will have to include somehow a system that gives rise to itself. The arising, because even if you postulate the consciousness is fundamental, which by the way would mean that or is incorrect, because or postulates that there's a transformation from non-conscious to conscious. And I think that's where it's wrong, because I think consciousness is fundamental. It is the substrate of everything. And it is incongruent with or, because they postulate non-consciousness to consciousness in some form. But even in idealism, you still have a situation that basically states that you have some kind of a state that is ultimate consciousness, that is just what it is. And of course, the question was, how did it come about? Which no theory can possibly address, because it's what I call the container problem. You will always have the ability to say, yeah, but what's outside of that? And the move that a lot of people make at this stage, in which they say, yeah, but there is no outside of it. I was like, okay, well, that doesn't explain anything either. And this is why this is such a difficult problem. And from what I'm observing, I guess from hyperspace, is that even they, i.e., the simulators and all the civilizations, all the way to the top, don't actually know how everything came about. So that seems to be the ever lingering problem. There's definitely promises to or that other theories don't have, because they're at least, I guess, I would put them in the same camp as IIT, integrated information theory. Does some work to put, and in fact, I would say IIT does more of a work, because it at least create some kind of mathematical framework by which we can potentially address these things. But both do not address how it comes about. They just address what mechanisms that we know of can potentially be responsible for these conscious moments. In integrated information theory, it has to do with this number that they call phi, that measures the consciousness of a network, and it's defined by particular mathematical parameters. This one was voiced by Giulio Tononi and Christoph Koch. And by the way, a very interesting video that I would highly recommend. Ebony, if you can find it, if not, I can find it in a moment. It's Christoph Koch talking about his awakening, talking about his 5-molecule experience, and how he now accepts that we're part of this unified thing. And it's interesting to watch him speak differently. Let's see. Christoph Koch, 5-MeO awakening. Let's see if I can find it here. There it is. Hold on. This would be if you guys want to check out this conversation. Oh, I don't think you can click from there, but I just shared it on YouTube. You guys can check it out. Nico, how you doing, my brother? And Christoph is one of the founders of IIT, Integrated Information Theory, and it's really interesting to watch his take on everything from that point on. Although I know I see a lot of comments, including from Tom. Thank you, brother. Let me see what you guys are saying. Thank you, G Tiger. Thank you for the roses. Appreciated gifts. Thank you so much. Good to hear, Nico. Me and Cosmo good. Cosmo is gonna be trained soon, so he's gonna be, and then his balls are gonna be chopped off. So, that happens. I have a friend who claims to have similar powers to Tom. It isn't as intense, but he has something that allows him to get lost in his mind, getting answers from a higher power. I think microtubules are the person are the reason I can see these images. Well, that's an interesting claim, Tom. I would love to explore it more because the claim in the paper, at least, is that all of consciousness happens this way. So then we would have to explain what exactly happens on the level of microtubules, which, by the way, they never address in the paper, that actually shifts that allows you to see the extra thing. I think it has something to do with, yes, perceiving more of what is possible to be conscious of in our space, but what is the mechanism by which it happens? I'm not really sure that microtubules would be it. But again, would be interesting to explore. And to your comments, 421 Central Iowa, I don't know if Tom already answered this later in the chat. And again, I highly recommend you guys go follow Tom. Very, very great content. Um, from what I understand, a lot of people reach out to Tom and say, I think I have what you have. But the truth is that there's a big difference between, like you're saying, being lost in your mind or being able to astral project or go into other spaces, and between what Tom is describing, at least to the best of my ability to understand what he's describing, because I think I'm experiencing something very similar in terms of realism with the console. It's not the same because it feels like it's just a regular three-dimensional space plus content that comes into view, just like you would if you would put goggles on, like Apple, whatever they're called, like augmented reality, versus somehow getting into like a new state of consciousness, which is not what Tom is describing, according to what I understand. And he can correct me if I'm wrong. But all of these claims about people have something similar, obviously it's not a competition. It's just interesting to know what is actually similar and what is different and why, in what way. All of these questions need to be addressed. Or it implies that consciousness is a single quantum field, not brain bound and fundamental. No, it is incorrect. Or absolutely postulates a transition between a non conscious state to a conscious state that happens in the microtubules. That is exactly what it means. Don't listen to what people tell you about it. Go and read the paper. The paper is available. That is what the paper states. Or absolutely does not say that there's a unified consciousness field. It does not talk about that. Maybe there's something in the after comments or thoughts. I don't remember that, but definitely it does not put that front and center in the paper. I don't know what other people said about the paper, but that's not in the paper. Um, how you can join the group? You're part of the group now, or you can join the Discord, as Ebony just put in the chat. Codeofreality.com. You can also check out the website, which is here. There you go. Boo, 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 boo. Tom is saying solid points, but the light emitted from microtubules speak to my upside vision. Donald Hoffman and his headset theory also seems important to my experience. Yes, so I would absolutely agree that there is some Venn diagram that combines between. I'm not sure about or actually, to be honest, but it might be in there. For me, the Venn diagram that where, in my opinion, we will find the answer is between Donald Hoffman, Bernardo Kastrup's frame of analytical idealism, um, Stephen Wolfram's work with physics, Jonathan Gerard, who's spearheaded the project with Wolfram, and actually Michael Levine. I would add to the picture because on a practical level, I think Michael Levine is actually working on the applicable versions of all of these higher conceptual frameworks in which you can show that in biology we can control the software level, the bioelectrical signals that in which we can actually communicate with them and give them instructions. Those four combined with, for me personally, the overarching frame, philosophical outline of David Deutsch, as he outlines it in his book the beginning of infinity. And I do think that him and Chiara Marletto's theory, that is now more Chiara's than David Deutsch's, of constructor theory will play a role, maybe, or will be joined. Honestly, I've just read the paper and I would say it's way less heavy hitting than people think, or maybe, it, of course, it's possible that I'm also not getting to the bottom of how deeply they're actually implying. But if I have to look at the paper for what it is, I don't know if it's as groundbreaking as people think it is, just because it doesn't actually make a lot of the claims that people think it makes. I'm open for discussion about it, but if you read the paper, I think you would agree with that. Again, it's very much like IIT in terms of describing some generalities about certain things that we know that exist and postulating that maybe there's some occurrence that happens, but the justification that is given in the paper itself, not by what people talk about it, is not strong enough. In fact, it is, I would go as far as to say it's quite weak in terms of like actual logical coherence, in terms of like, is it justifiable to believe that that is where it's at according to what is postulated in the paper? I would say no. I'm not saying that it's a dead end or anything like this. I'm just saying it's not as strong for me as the other four that I mentioned, which is again Wolfram's work, Bernardo Kastrup's outline, philosophical outline, Donald Hoffman, absolutely, because they're doing more concrete work, and Michael Levine, for me, coupled with David Deutsch's outline of what knowledge is in the universe and constructor theory. Maybe or is in there, but for me, that's what the Venn diagram means. Donald Hoffman is definitely in there, 100%. The Toe All Star lineup, yeah, basically. Tom, somebody's asking who is Tom. Tom Matt, you can look him up. Tom Matte, you can look him up. He has been on many podcasts and has been talking. He was also on my podcast. You can check it out on Dango Thoughts on YouTube. And Tom is known for what's called upsite. He has the ability to pull content that is extremely coherent right in front of him, right in front of his eyes, and it comes right, like literally, like imagine like a computer. But and it gave him extra abilities like understand complex topological spaces, mathematical logic that before, according to what I heard Tom describe, wasn't as much in his wheelhouse as it were, but now it absolutely is. And again, Tom can correct me at any moment where I'm misrepresenting what he said. That recent link is to the blog and link to the, oh, perfect. Yeah, please drop. Wait, did you share a link, Tom? Because I don't think you can share links on um here. I'm not sure if you can. Ebony, can he share? Thank you, Tom. Can he share links here, Ebony? If not, can you share whatever Tom wants to share if you don't mind? Because Ebony can absolutely do that. In terms of permission, I mean. Um, let me see. I'm just reading the comments as fast as I can. What is the link to follow Tom? Oh, okay, so that's what he was trying to share. So Ebony, if you can share please Tom's channel and or website, I would really appreciate it. Oh, you already did. I'm sorry. I'm way behind. I'm very slow. You guys will forgive me. And all the people that know me well, they giggle for sure because I'm super slow with this stuff. Thank you, Ebony. I appreciate you. My friend claims to see objects in 3D and be cut off from current reality, and he hears his own voice in monotone telling him the answers to things he wants to know. Interesting, but again, you got to be very careful. Tom will tell you himself, and I'm telling you this as well. This space is not as forthcoming as people realize. Very often, it can be misleading, misguiding, kind of messing with you. The answers are not always straightforward. I'm always highly suspect of people who claim that they think, or either they think or they claim to know for sure that they're being given answers about the world. Because from what I understand, they're not allowed to give you these answers, or it's simply impossible because of translation that is just too orthogonal to whatever is happening in their space and our space. But from my experience, you don't get answers like, "Hey, what's the answer to blub the blub?" And then he just gives you an answer. It doesn't work like that. Tom can tell you the same thing from his experience. Sometimes there will be things that make sense and kind of adhere to a logical structure that follows from his previous thoughts, and sometimes it's just complete nonsense. So people who say I just sit there and I get the answers to the galaxy, I'm highly suspect of that. They're either confused, to my opinion, or well, you know, the other thing. um Tom, I wouldn't say it's like remote viewing. Would you ever define your upsite as remote viewing, Tom? Oh, okay. I'm way behind. I should read the comments before I even speak. Everybody already answering all the stuff that I'm now talking about. I'm way behind, guys. I'm in 2023. Documentary is doing good. Probably should be ready by the end of the year. Oh yeah, Tom, if you want to join our Discord, there's a great community of people that are very interested in topics like this. So if you join our Discord, you can absolutely share your links there and people absolutely go there. Um yeah, Thomas Campbell can be a fun conversation. I would absolutely agree. I'm not on Discord and don't need a new thing to be a part of. Yeah, well, welcome to the club, Tom. It's how it goes, man. We decipher the codes. If you study cryptography, Andrew, and you want to help, again, I'm on record saying that I don't think, you know, breaking the code, so to speak, is anytime soon in the cards, just because we don't even know what it is. And you can't really break something you don't even know what it is. Because in terms of breaking codes, you at least need to understand what is the functionality of the thing that you're breaking. And that being said, we're very open for any suggestions, any ideas, and I would love to be wrong about this. So if you want to do that, please join our Discord and talk to us about this. And if these ideas flow and they make sense, we will absolutely will we'll have a deeper conversation about how this can potentially be of help. Topic. So, oh yeah, I saw you saying something. I responded to you on Discord. You found something. Please share. Okay, let share. Go ahead, or share on Discord. You broke the code. Well, all right. What is the answer of the code? I did. I answered you on Discord. Thank you so much, Ebony. I appreciate you. Can you tell me the basics of your theory? I'm a physicist and mathematician myself. Tell me. If you're talking about the actual theoretical framework as to how I think it connects to all of reality, I'll be the first one to say that I'm not really sure. My closest postulation is that the code basically is a self-executing code that you have a logic according to which the infinite actuation of worlds is being applied, specifically according to the Mandelbrot set shoreline, which lends itself really nicely to this because it's an infinite structural complexity that never repeats itself, which is an important part. Hey, Cosmo, relax. Um, all right, we'll wait for him to finish. It's probably uh, my fiance is probably just home and he's just very excited. So, what I believe this code is essentially what we're seeing as the execution of these infinite computational branches. It's essentially, you can think of it as either the Roolead, if you want to use Wolfram's theory, and or maybe it's the same thing, I guess, the Akashic records, the thing that both dictates what is possible in the next computational step and registers everything that in fact happens according to the logic of the previous computational step. That is my best guess about what this code is. Do I actually know that's the case? No, absolutely not. And yeah, Ebony, really appreciate you. If you try shining a laser at other objects, can you get the same result? Yes, it is the same code on all objects, including human skin. Everything is the same. And also, it's not really on, but in, which is an important distinction at this point. Audible does not seem to be making any changes to the code. No. Oh, you ordered a laser and a shirt and a mug. Oh my God. Okay, well, Terry, I have to take care of this personally, brother. I'm gonna make sure that all of it gets to you. What's up, Mark? Do you know layers like gateway, broadcast, portals? These levels are a matrix somewhere near and appear through capsule. So I'm not. If you talk about gateway project, it's essentially uh, everything the Monroe Institute was doing. Yeah, I've tried these. Hold on, 1 second. Relax, George. Glorious day to you as well, Stephen. Alpha Zero is saying science is not Pornhub. You need to prove it. It's very strict. Don't really understand your example whatsoever. There's a lot of other examples from that. Also, yeah, when science is in the business of explanation, and it's a long process. As a physicist, you should know that very often you have placeholders, like for example, the word dark matter, which we absolutely do not know that is matter, or maybe not even a thing at all, and yet we call it dark matter. How come? Was it proven to be dark matter? Absolutely not. It is a placeholder that we put on top of a big question mark that is connected to everything else that we know, according to which we're trying to decipher what it might be. And until we figure out what it really is, we call it something until we find a better thing to call it that matches more what we understand it to actually be. At the moment, the best thing I can call it is the code of reality because it seems like a self-executing code, and it is the closest thing to what it seems to be, according with everything else that I'm seeing, observing, experiencing. It's a long conversation that we'll definitely not be able to cover in one live, but there's hundreds of hours of me talking online at this point that you can check out, and or can wait for the movie in which is going to be more details that are much more specific to the question of how I came up with it, what is the most recent state of affairs of the research, and everything else. What kind of a physicist are you, if you don't mind me asking? Discord link you can find on YouTube, Dango Thoughts. If you guys are not on YouTube right now, go check out YouTube. DANGO Thoughts is the channel. Oh, and if you want to follow through Twitch, it's LaserX83. Definitely try to grow that one as well. If you claim a thing, you need something to support it, like Einstein proved that sun bended gravity. Then right, but Einstein's theories were taken seriously even before it was fully proven. You're right that it was only fully fledged, proven when Well, it wasn't the only case, but there was a few things that it actually solved seriously. But you're right. There's the um, was it the Mercury or one of the moons of Jupiter? I don't remember. One of the celestial bodies. You're right. With the eclipse, with that experiment, it really kind of vindicated Einstein's theory more than anything else. But it was still taken seriously because it made sense mathematically. We're not really playing the same game currently because we don't really know how to measure it with an external device. And all of that makes it extra difficult to talk about this in coherent terms. But when I get to the details with physicists, it does make a lot of sense in terms of information physics and everything else we understand from gauge fields and gauge symmetry, sorry. And there's a lot of details there. So if we ask more specific questions, we can address them. But as a general outline, the one that I already gave you is the best one I can give without getting all tangled up in the details. But we can ask specific questions. For example, I think that wherever the code is, would have to be either completely orthogonal to our space because it doesn't seem to be influenced by anything in our space, or it would have to be on some kind of a fundamental layer of the quantum field because it's not influenced by anything that is perturbed on the surface level. So, like, it's not influenced by temperature or sounds or really even magnetic fields that are pretty weak at this point. But we're going to try with more powerful magnetic fields. But I do think that if it is somewhere in our interacting with our physical environment, it will be somewhere closer to what the quantum fields are. So only when we're going to start playing with those while observing the code, we might see some perturbations. But obviously, that's going to require quite an undertaking. What are you saying, Nico? Saw him on YouTube. It sounded like he lost his mind for a while, though. Who are we talking about? Who are you mentioning, Nico? What's up, Rotten Pumpkin? President Zaddy's in the house. All right. XORR, you keep saying. You keep saying you decoded the code. Please go ahead, share it. Maybe gravity, but I did. I responded to your Discord. I don't know if you saw that, but definitely not now doing a live, but we'll definitely respond to you after. What's up, Rafa? Alpha Zero is saying, why does mass affect light? Wait, why is it all in caps? Why is that like a big question? I would say that the field equations answer that pretty well because it affects the fabric of space-time itself, the bulk, the surface of the bulk. I would defer to that as an explanation. Or are you asking it in some relationship to my work? Because then we're going to have to ask a more specific question. The code is the Discord server of the universe. Or the Facebook of the universe. God is just one many mods being smited. Rotten Pumpkin, there's many ways you can talk to me. We can do it now. Also, if you just tell me what you want to talk about and why, and we can do it on Discord. There's many different ways. Or you can join the membership program on YouTube, and we have Zoom calls once a month for the second tier and up on the membership program. And one is coming up soon. So if you want like a long discussion that we can have, you can just join that and we can chat. When will you release illustrations of the code? I have watched the extreme amount of work you have been putting into the spreading of the information, but I have not seen any physical representations. I don't think that's what's important, Justin. I don't think that figuring out any other language is actually important at all. Not in this stage of the game. It's important to understand what it is and what it does, not to try and decipher the code. Many other people are very interested in that, and they are doing that. And you can find some of these illustrations on Discord. Aaron, the director of the film, is also working in a collaboration with Laszlo, who's an award-winning game developer, to help us create some representations of the code that kind of like in the ballpark of delivering to people how they feel. But the truth is that I personally don't actually find that important whatsoever, because I don't think that's where the answer is gonna come from. I don't think that before you understand what the code is, if it is even code, you will be able to decipher letters or doing any of this stuff. I don't think it actually matters, to be honest. It's the how it appears. It's the fact that it's there. What is it doing is my question, not what it's saying. Because knowing what it's saying will depend first you understanding what it's doing. Trying to read through the comments. What's up, LP? Consider looking at how the molecule affects vision. Trying to replicate the separate altered state in order to capture the code outside the state. Yeah, definitely had these thoughts, and we're trying to decipher this. But of course, it's a very, very difficult problem. Carter, the legend, is in the house. How you doing, brother? Similar journey to understanding gravity. We could use gravity long before we understood much about its nature. And I would say, really, that's correct. I absolutely agree with that. And I would say, really, any major scientific discovery, like quantum physics, for example, we never, in the beginning, when quantum mechanics was discovered, uh, there was no real conversation around any real application. People thought, oh, it's just going to be like theoretical forever, basically. Nobody could imagine that within a decade it would transform our world, basically. So computers would not be possible without understanding quantum mechanics, because transistors are impossible without understanding that. Actually, lasers are too, by the way. And you check any new information posted on X about the pyramid like 15 minutes ago. Oh, no, I haven't. Sounds awesome. You want to share it with Ebony on Discord and she can put it right here, Maverick Star? Or just share it on Discord and we can see what you're talking about. You're much more susceptible to electric universe theory. And you're a physicist? What kind of physicist are you again? Alpha Zero? What's up, Mike? Try laser protocol with your experiment. What do you mean by laser protector? You mean the goggles? 3D for the laser brand, for the code. That's awesome, President Zaddy. I didn't know that actually. LP, we can't see hyperlinks, just so you know. because I can't read the comments as fast as I can just go through them. That's why you hear the silence. I'm just trying to go to them as fast as I can and grab one that we can touch. Yeah, I think he texted me, Chris. I think he texted me XORR, and I responded. So I'll look at the comments later. Then we'll see what's going on. Nico's in the house. How you doing, my brother?
Hey, how's it going, Danny?
Good. Good to hear from you.
Привет.
Привет.
Yeah, so I actually had a question about the optical coherence, it's not OCT, right? It's OCR recognition. Is that right?
Yep. You know, right after
Yeah,
we finished the conversation, I was like, dude, how do we not have Nico on this? It just completely slipped my mind. I was like, I'm gonna send you the recording.
Oh yeah, no worries, no worries. I mean, I've been extremely swamped with stuff, but it's something that I do think about on the side. And there was an interesting comment on the Discord that maybe if you take starlight or light from the cosmos, right, and try to essentially diffract that, maybe that there is some information there.
Like they found in the Japanese team.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit confused about one thing. So I love the idea of deconstructing light into all the amount of information possible, right? Like throw the whole signal processing toolkit at it. But from what I understand, the observer is a very big key of that, right? So the observer under the spirit molecule can filter through that and see something fundamental there, right? So my approach at this has been very much so, okay, how do I take a computer vision model or a neural network and how do I embed or how do I fine tune it to the state of consciousness that the observer is in under the spirit molecule, right?
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to do is make like a magnifying glass that is like a kind of like a psychedelic magnifying glass to kind of see what it is. But I was approaching it from the perspective that the observer is very important. But I do like the approach that you don't need to be on the molecule to see it. But I was I was wondering if you can kind of touch upon that.
Yeah, I'm just agree with that. Like you would have to figure out what is it exactly doing to the observer, but then you have to kind of answer what is the observer. It kind of gets to the bottom of everything. From what I saw, which I do think it is promising, but so far what I understood about OCR, and then Court actually suggested to use another tool, the Kraken, and then because it's more, I guess, neutral, more fundamental in terms of like it's not expecting to see any particular language, and it, from what I understood from Court, it also dials in the weights itself according to what it thinks is appropriate, and then from there you can feed it into OCR. But from what I saw, the analysis at least, to me it's clear that what's happening is that the OCR thinks that the separate bands of light that you see as the diffraction pattern, it thinks that each and every one of them is a letter or part of a sentence because it has a structure of a sentence. That's what it's used to recognizing. So that's what it's batching. It's not really reading inside of what we see in the field. It just kind of thinks that whatever band of light of the diffraction pattern is a letter, let's say, and then it looks inside what it thinks is a letter. What is the closest thing in the perturbations that might match what it is expecting to see as a letter? Let's say it wants to see an A or a B or a C or a D, and it finds the closest thing to it and it marks it as a potential hit, right? I think that's what's happening, or at least to me it's pretty clear that's what's happening. What we are going to do now to test for this, we're actually going to have Aaron, the director of the film. Again, shout out Aaron. Aaron is an absolute genius. He's gonna film in super high quality, maybe 4K, maybe 6K footage of the laser, like really up close and in focus. And then we're gonna blow it up even more. So we're in the field, so the OCR would not have a chance to see separate bands. It's just gonna see a field because that's where we see the characters actually, not on the surface. And then we're gonna run it through all these analyses. Now, I still think that there's a potential there. I still didn't get a direct answer as to is it possible to look at layers. So because we see it through the z-axis, I'm having a hard time believing the AI will have an easy time deciphering if there's more information in the background. So like you have the surface level, but if you have another layer here, another layer here to infinity, how do you tell the AI or the neural net to look through the layers, right? Now that's a real problem to solve, and I know it's possible, but so far the answers I've heard, they were very unsatisfactory to me. Like I think that there needs to be a specialized engine that looks through layers of information in the z-axis, even though it is looking at a two-dimensional representation of it. So maybe you even have some comments on that, because I know.
Well, that's weird because I've heard you talk about this being a projection. Do you think the z-axis is time, or is the code also
No, just z-axis of the space. Like you see it inside. Like you see another object that goes all the way to infinity inwards, basically. Also,
right, so
Carter just joined us. How are you, my brother? Yeah.
Hey, brother, doing well, doing very well. So there is something I wanted to make sure that the live crew hears about this. Like, this isn't something that folks just have to sort of passively wait to experience for themselves. This software is freely available. We'd love for other people to test on their own high definition cameras. Like, please try this for yourselves. The code's up there. It's on the Discord server. Go get it. If you have diffracted lasers and different patterns, like, throw them up. Like, try this for yourself. The whole point of this project is for us to be learning together. Like, none of us here are experts in this category. We're all learning. And the more information we get, the faster we get answers.
That's a really good point. Yep. I would agree with all of that. So basically, Carter is encouraging everybody here, if you have some free time and you have a laser that you can get from Amazon, and the code is free on our Discord, you can just go and find it. You can just go verify all of this for yourself and see if you can help us come up with with answers, because we again, we're not experts. We're just kind of fumbling in the dark with some pretty brilliant minds, but at the same time, there's a lot of other brilliant minds out there, and you're one of them. So help us out. You don't have to partake in the molecule at all at this point of this stage of the research. All is required is your time and your interest to try and figure it out. The pointers that I will give is what I just said about OCR, which is, again, we're not looking at the surface, which is what even very smart people confuse it with. Like Andres Gomez, I consider him to be an absolute genius, and I love his work and everything he does. But and I told him this openly, he's also in the habit of confusing what we're actually claiming to see. Nobody would confuse some surface level shapes that might arrange themselves into something that even looks semi-coherent or coherent even with what we're claiming to see. No. It's not on the surface. It's inside. It's like the space is in. You're looking inwards. You see some kind of an object in 3D, and it's in there, and you're looking at it like you're looking through a microscope. It's not like surface stuff. This is what the AI needs to be able to figure out. And it's a difficult project. So really good point, Carter.
Well, and Danny, you're actually speaking to something else too that we have a real strong interest in, but we don't actually have access to directly. But if anyone out there has access to both the diffracted laser at 650 nanometers and a light field camera like a Litro, there are several varieties of light field camera out there that can capture content. Anyone who's got something like that, who's willing to take it for a spin, we'd love to see how a light field responds to the actual laser array.
The original idea for me to sharing this information was basically to get as many people interested so we all weigh in on this. And here we are. And Carter took it to the next level by helping me basically create a system through which people can actually participate. So now this is a great reminder. Thank you for reminding us this, Carter. Now we are officially saying, hey, we have a Discord, we have some ideas, help us test the ideas. At this point, it does not require you to do any of the molecule. Just go and test this. It will be fun. The cameras that Carter is talking about, do you remember what they're called? Or maybe Nico knows. The ones that can actually see focal, so they can see multiple focus.
Light field cameras.
If you have any of those or one of those, please help us test this. Or maybe if you can just shoot a very high resolution, just 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the laser this way, that's already very helpful. Instead of us trying to go and find and buy the camera, which again, eventually we'll of course do, but at the moment, there's so many people in the world and so many people are paying attention now. Hey, like I mean this in the best way possible, in the most loving way possible. Stop asking us what we're doing. Help us out. You're a player. You're not just an observer. You're a player. Let's wake up. So take what you have, look at the laser, share it on Discord. Let's talk about it. That's exactly the point. Hold on.
That's awesome. It kind of reminds me of like the Human Genome Project, right? Where it's like you're trying to map this massive kind of collection of data. I do have a bunch of film cameras, so I will give it a shot with film cameras, David. And I also have this stereographic film camera, which takes photos. It takes 4 photos at different angles. That might be kind of interesting, but
that would be incredible, particularly with multiple, like a parallax.
Exactly.
Amazing. Hey, I did want to answer. There's a question in the TikTok there around: have you tried to project the laser to make it fill up the whole wall? If you on the Discord, this conversation is actually happening right now. The challenge is the actual diffracted array itself. So what you really have to do is have the diffracted lens be able to project that grid or combine many lasers together. So we're working on it. You can see there's some images coming up on that right now. There's lots of folks that are sort of in the sort of laser projection space, and they're helping us think this thing through. So the answer is yes, like we're looking into that sort of thing, but definitely like check out the conversation on Discord. There's lots going on there where we're all just trying to figure this out together.
And it should be exciting. This is exactly the kind of stuff that we were waiting for, because again, imagine what can happen if people are truly trying to figure this out together. It's something I told Carter last time that we had the conversation yesterday, I think, actually, about the OCR. And again, we were just humbled to see how many brilliant minds showed up for this. I realized, oh, this can be fun to kind of mimic what Wolfram did in his physics project, where they would work on a real problem as they would in a lab or in a lab hour kind of thing, and they just made it live, so people from all over the world could weigh in, put in ideas and things like this. Now, it's true that when you open the channel in this way, sometimes there's more noise than you would like to be. But I would like to believe that actually probably most people are very well intentioned and want to contribute to the project. So we might do a couple of those to test and want to see how that works. Imagine we're just doing these live and we kind of brainstorm. There's going to be a lot of silence where we kind of just look at it together. But people can weigh in. They can have ideas, and we can tap into literally the universal consciousness working on a problem together before we have Neuralink or anything like this. I mean, that's very exciting to me.
Love it.
Oh, by the way, how's everything on your side, Carter? Like the fires and Christina?
Yeah. Thanks for asking, brother. Mrs. Ericos is here. She's back home.
Hey, Christina.
Recovering from surgery.
Good.
She sends her love.
Sending love back. And the fires?
Yeah, seems to be dying down now. It's really awkward. Like I think when you came up to our place, you sort of saw like we came up that little highway there right before our house.
Yep.
And all along the left side of that highway is pretty much burnt to a crisp. I'll send you some video.
Well, that's but we experienced it firsthand, man. So I know how crazy that feels and looks. And wow, how's the air quality?
The air quality, like it was really like the fire was out by, I'd say, midday yesterday in our area. A few other spots around the Appalachian Trail, sort of like around Dragon's Tooth and those sorts of spots, but it died down well. And then today it was really windy. So a lot of it was kind of almost perfect timing. I mean, it's not great to see fires, but like at the end of the day, seeing how fast they were able to respond to it, like the firefighters were on the ball very, very quick. It's very impressive to see the danger plus them moving.
That's amazing.
I got it done.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Very pleased.
Yeah.
Me too, man. Me too. Very little property damage outside of national forest.
Well, I'm glad to hear that everybody are alive and safe. This seems to be. By the way, I see there's a lot of comments, but one comment that really popped to my mind by Brad says, I don't even know what it's referring to, but it says almost like reverse hologram. Whatever you were referring to, yes, it's basically like reverse hologram. We are the hologram looking out from whatever we're being projected from. And that, I believe, is actually what's happening. To your question, XORR, how you can come online, like Carter and like Nico. That's not on YouTube. You can't do this on YouTube. You have to do it on TikTok. You can jump on TikTok right now, real quick. It's Danny Goller at Danny Goller on TikTok. DANNY GOLER. Just letting you know that because today I also have the members live. Which, by the way, if you're not a member on YouTube, you should join because there's a members live in about 15 minutes that is only for members, and we target much more specific subjects, and I can pay more attention to people. So you should join that if you want, because it's going to be happening in 15 minutes. Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts. Join the members program that includes these weekly lives and Zoom calls with me from the second tier and up, and early access to all my content, as well as private things from my life that will only exist on YouTube members. So all of that, and soon more on the YouTube members. And I do appreciate all the members that both joined and stayed, and of course to all the people that are contributing the memberships, like gifting them, like Chris and Ebony and Devin and Bradley and Jessica. Thank you so much, guys, for doing that. I deeply appreciate that. Again, if you're not there, come on and be there. To you, XORR, you can go to TikTok now before we jump off, and I'll let you come on for a few minutes, kind of outline the idea if you want. Danny Goller on TikTok. This would be a good opportunity just to remind everybody, if you want to follow me across platforms. Bradley just gifted another 5 memberships. Deeply appreciate you, brother. If you want to follow me across other platforms, it will be Danny Goller on TikTok and Instagram. It will be Goller Danny. Just swap them on X. It will be LaserX83 on Twitch. And it will be Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. Please follow Carter on TikTok. It's Arikos, ARIKOS. And Nico on TikTok, which is NIKOMACKAY. Great friends, basically my partners in crime at this point. And yeah, appreciate you all. I don't see a response from you, XORR, so we might be talking on Discord. Hold on. Let us pray. Is that you? Because I don't have time to bring other people for like random conversations right now. I would love to, but right now I don't really have. Is that you, XORR? Are you Let Us Pray? Just need a verification. Sofa King says, we love Sofa King. Who are you? Let us pray. Hold on, I'll bring you on. No worries. I can bring you on for a second, just so you know that we're going to jump off in a moment. How are you? Jumped off. Oh, Sofa King, that's you. Okay. And it just jumped back off.
Right on, Danny. Well, I'll let you go. David, it was nice to see you and hear from you again, and looking forward to catching up soon. Yeah. And then one thing, Danny, I wanted to say is, have you watched the show Genius on Amazon Prime about Einstein?
No, but I read his biography. I think I'm covered.
Yeah. So I know totally. It's probably way better. But what I never was when I never learned in school and was never taught was how much of a rebel and how hated he was in the scientific community, right? Like, I just thought he was like a genius. Everyone accepted him as a genius, but he was totally not accepted, and it gave me an appreciation for Einstein that I never had. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you know this since you read his biography, but total like extra badass points for that. So
he was a weirdo, bro. Best one of its kind.
He was also a liberal too. I didn't know he was a lib. You know. So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he was basically a pacifist, not just a liberal. Yeah, pacifist. He also married his cousin, so there's that.
Well, I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Nico. Yeah, Einstein was a very interesting dude, that's for sure. Like, it kind of when you get to these levels of like understanding these people from like biographies, it's really interesting to try and really imagine what it would be like to be in their presence. I mean, people are just weird in general, and especially when they're that smart. But I still maintain that, and this is where I lose half of my audience, if not more, every time. But I'm not going to be anybody else. But the only biography I've ever read, and I haven't read a lot. I read Einstein's, Steve Jobs, Tesla's, but it's autobiography, like written by him. It's a short book. Who else? Man, why am I spacing on autobiographies I read? Richard Branson, uh, and doesn't really matter. There's a couple more. I don't remember, but definitely a couple more. And then the only biography I ever read that at the end of it you don't go, oh, like, yeah, it's amazing what they did, but I can kind of see the person. The only one that by the end of it you don't go like that, but you go, what? I'm confused. How does that person do what they do? Is Elon, actually. The guy who wrote his first biography. After he wrote it, he was interviewed about it, and he said, I've been following him for 3 years and I still don't understand how he does it. So, and again, I know it pisses a lot of people off. I don't know why, but yeah, he's uh, for what it's worth, it is kind of crazy what he does and how he does it. But Einstein is definitely up there as well, especially in terms of how many obstacles he had to overcome from the social perspective and from the perspective of the resistance to his ideas, even when they were pretty obviously true. So yeah, that definitely kudos to him on that. Okay, we'll find out how many followers I lost for that one, but it's okay. Love you guys regardless. Um, so we'll adjourn for this one, and then if you're a member, please come join us in the members live. It's going to start in a few minutes. If not, please join us, and if not, love you. Thank you so much for being part of this community. Carter, you're the man, brother. Can't wait to keep building this incredible thing with you. To the entire team, Bradley and Ebony and Chris and Jessica. Who else am I forgetting? Nico is definitely part of the boys. Aaron, the director of the film. Trying to go through the names again. It's not that if I'm not mentioning you, you're not one of my beloved ones, but I can't mention everybody. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this community, making what it is. Really appreciate you. See you tomorrow or in the members live in a moment. Peace and love. Ciao. See you soon. Bye, guys, and see you in the members live in a few moments.